Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Happy Friday. Nice little green day here for darn near every single coin in the market. Specifically, Bitcoin up 5% on the day. Broke very strong through that 102.5K resistance range. Now effectively ranging in the $105,000 to $104,000 area. So that's actually very, very good, but also not. It depends. What I mean by that is it's good in the sense that altcoins are responding well to it. But altcoins specifically like SUI, for example, we're kind of topping out at their local high here, this 0.618 fib level, having difficulty breaking through that. It's not a great sign now that Bitcoin's kind of slowing down. It's a Friday. A lot of profits are probably going to be taken later today. So I'm not trying to concern you at all, but I don't necessarily have high hopes for SUI to break through this resistance range right here for the moment. And again, you can be bullish on a coin, you can be optimistic, but the truth is the way it's performing here lately doesn't give me a lot of confidence that it's gonna just it's gonna surge to its all-time high. Okay, again, this coin has a tendency of doing that regardless of the TA, so please understand that we're still on the right side of tracks on every stretch of the word here. So I'm still mostly bullish. I just want you to recognize that it's underwhelming, the performance that we've seen in the last 24 hours contrary to Bitcoin. Now again, there's a lot of things that could shape up here soon, but the truth is price action doesn't look phenomenal just yet on the charts. So let's look at liquidation and see if there's any other incentive for the price to go higher or lower. We can see that we are getting closer to that upper range. So obviously, the closer we get to this upper range, the more likely we are to sweep that level. So again, keep in mind, 510 roughly to about 570, there's a pretty solid amount of liquidation up there. Okay, but until we get much closer to that level and break through this local high of roughly about $4.95, maybe $5, as I mentioned, kind of that round number that is typically a common resistance level, we can't presume that's going to happen yet. Okay. All right. So when we look at the macro, nothing much has changed here, but we're again slightly closer to the larger liquidation range, giving us incentive that the price action is probably more likely to go up. The liquidation delta is high. You don't want to short into this because again, there's a lot more longs versus shorts in the market. So why go against the grain? Why try to swim upstream? Why try to walk against the flow of traffic? It makes no sense, right? So again, do not misinterpret what I opened with here in the sense that I'm not bearish at all on SUI. I'm just letting you know that the performance here lately seems to be kind of, again, underwhelming is probably the best way to describe it, okay? And again, you got to recognize too, this coin is pretty high, and it has been high for a very long time as far as its value. I mean, shoot, this coin was in the $1 range not too long ago, if you can recall that. So again, coins like this, they need to consolidate effectively for a while in a range before they can leg up and make that big push. I think we're getting a good volume base here in the $4 to $5 range, but still a little too premature to tell. At this point, though, if we look at open interest, we can see the heaviest concentrations at 450, 460, and 475. Not a lot. There's some late longs here, about 485. But there's a lot larger positions below the price action, kind of implying that we have support below us, but also implying that we may see the price pull back to those levels too. Okay, because again, if you take a look here, actually, we'll compare the chart with Bitcoin and SUI at the tail end of this review, just so you can kind of see the comparison. Because again, being a good altcoin trader isn't just like picking your favorite coin and buying it when you see it come down low. While that can work for this coin, and it has worked fairly well for a lot of people, that's not consistent across the board, right? So when it comes to SUI, for example, what we want to look at, and just, it's always your due diligence to compare the Bitcoin chart to whatever coin it is you're planning to trade, okay? So I will look at Bitcoin every single morning and every single night before I do any type of trades, and it helps me get a baseline of what's going on. Again, coins that are performing poorly versus Bitcoin, they're generally not ones you want to take a long into, right? That's kind of what I mean by that. So a simple way to understand it here is we'll look at we'll compare the charts here in a moment, but what I want to talk about is that we're over the 20, we're over the 50-day SMA, we are over 50 on the RSI on the daily, stochastic swinging up, MACD's kind of tapering off. These are all mostly bullish signs here. Now, I wouldn't say the MACD is bullish, but everything else is looking pretty solid in the overall sense of maintaining above a good support range. We can, if we zoom out here, we can see our local point of control. People are the heaviest. Again, if you exclude this previous area of consolidation, we can see roughly what 475 is that level. No, sorry, 472. You may as well just say 470. That's kind of the common, easy number to remember. So Now that we're above that level, we can presume that'll work as a support, right? That's kind of, you got to give it that chance. You don't look at hidden bullish and bearish divergences and take your entire life savings and go long or short into that. You look at these things I'm talking to you about here, and you make a logical, informed decision when you take a trade. Okay, try not to reach. There's a lot of people that do that. I hear from my community about other influencers talking about coins being super bullish or super bearish. While that's true in a lot of ways, like this coin is exuding a lot of bullish behavior, there's still some little things here kind of letting us know it's not performing very well, and those are things you want to pay attention to, right? Anyways, the whole point of me mentioning that is just do your own due diligence, make sure you use good risk tolerance. But when it comes to FOMOing into a coin like this, Bitcoin's running, I'm the last one to try to jump into a coin like that, right? Not specifically this one, but just any altcoin that's surging because Bitcoin's having a good day. They're probably going to have a bad day too. What goes up must come down, as they say, right? Again, there's a lot of different things that factor in here. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting off the rails here, but let's look at the 4-hour time frame, and then we'll compare Bitcoin chart too. We're over 50 on the RSI, good, but not great. We keep retesting that level, effectively telling us here that we should have a shift in momentum. You could even argue that this is a pretty significant, flag pattern. Again, that's a bit of a stretch, but hypothetically the price coming down, working itself into a tightening area here, pulling back. That's concurrent with rising wedge and or bearish flag patterns, right? So again, just something to be mindful of. It's not a guarantee that's going to happen. Those actually are fairly lower success rate patterns. But once more, you don't trade on patterns. However, that kind of reaffirms the fact that even though we have some nice bullish type of scenarios here, we're shifting momentum. We're seeing that that retest of 50 on the RSI, for example. And we look at the hourly time frame. Most coins are above the cloud and having significant convergences on the Ichimoku cloud. Like for example, Solana, monstrous right now. Bitcoin, awesome. But SUI, again, underwhelming here. We get the lagging span within the price action. Conversion line and baseline are intersecting. We're losing momentum. Only last line of defense here is this 470 to 475 range, as I talked about previously, being a potential support level for us. So while we are above the support range, and that matters, there's some cracks in the glass here letting us know that the momentum is shifting. So simple way to understand it is the smaller time frames are identifying a divergence, if you will, or basically an unfortunate or not a very good pairing with Bitcoin. So let's talk about that here, just to make it really simple. And typically what I do is I just I like to clean up the charts a little bit so you can kind of see. So if you look at this price action and you compare it with most coins, just say Solana, for example. I know this isn't a Solana analysis, but it's a coin to look at daily, and you can recognize here that there's a nice ascending trend, a lot of support below the price action, effectively creating higher highs and higher lows, nice little bullish patterns, so to speak. And when we look at SUI, it's kind of a chopped salad. While it is moving up and it's establishing higher lows, we're establishing now a lower high here, and that's not very good, right? So you compare that with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not creating lower highs. SUI is. So that leads me to believe this coin is probably more likely to pull back than to go higher, especially if Bitcoin retraces, okay? So just know that. And again, it's probably going to be short term. It may come down to 470. I would recommend the 470 to 455 range as a solid consideration of entry. But if you're just going to do a limit order for a long position with a 100x leverage trade with the majority of your bag, that's a big problem. That's something you shouldn't be doing, right? Okay, so again, just keep that in mind. You can buy the dip all you want. Spot bag's a different story, but if you're going to be using leverage, let's give this support range a chance to hold first, right? That's kind of where we're at. It's ascending trend line too as well. So hypothetically, the price does one of these and it goes back up, Bob's your uncle, we're good. But between now and then, I do not like the price action for SUI on the short term. Macro looks good otherwise, okay? So take it with that however you want. Take it with a grain of salt, as they say. And just know that I'm always looking out for your best interest when I say these things. I think it's temporary that this coin pulls back, but for the moment, I really don't like this kind of shape of this pattern. It's just a poor pairing compared to Bitcoin. All right, folks, I hope that makes sense. I described that correctly. If you want to join us over on Twitter, Telegram, or Discord, I got playout charts there for you. I do personally feel that Bitcoin is due to pull back to its macro support at maybe 100 to 102.3 thousand. If that range is retested, then I think a lot of altcoins are going to be able to pivot and bounce. But between now and then, let's pay attention to how all these altcoins are performing, contrary to Bitcoin's, slight pullback, if you will. Okay. I think it is due for a correction. It would make perfect sense for us to see a bit of a retracement here. Okay, cool. That's all I got. Hope I made sense of this for you. I hope you made sense of what I talked about, and I hope it works out well for you. Thanks again for always being an amazing part of my life. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.